Hi, it's Panda Movies here. Today, I'm going to explain the Filipino horror movie called Sukob. Warning, there are spoilers ahead. Enjoy the video. Sukob is a Filipino superstition that warns siblings to not marry within the same year, believing that it will divide the luck between the siblings. Another type of Sukob advises against marriages within the same year as the death of an immediate family member. The story starts off with the return of overseas Filipino worker, Sandy, to the Philippines with her fiance, Dale, from Dubai, for their wedding. Upon returning home, Sandy realizes that there have been a lot of events that she missed while she was working abroad. One of the things she finds out upon returning home is the death of her childhood friend, Helen. Tessie, Sandy's mother, reveals that Helen died with the rest of her family after she announced her engagement just a few months after the death of her father, Dr. Quisumbing. Helen was advised to postpone the wedding due to the superstition that marriages should not be held within the same year as the death of an immediate family member, as it will result in a curse, but Helen paid no attention to any of their warnings. A few weeks after Helen's wedding, her husband dies in a plane crash while she dies in a bus accident at the crash site. Helen's remaining immediate family member, her mother, suddenly disappears inside their home afterwards. The scene cuts to another character in the story, Diana and her husband, Brian. The couple are being wed in their hometown in Bibiclet, Aliaga, and are off to celebrate their marriage when they are interrupted by a funeral toll from the belfry of the church. Despite the strange incident, the couple and their guests paid no attention to it and proceeded to the wedding reception, but just as they thought the funeral toll incident would be the last strange thing that could happen that day, Diana sees a glimpse of a mysterious flower girl intently watching her. Sandy and Dale, on the other hand, proceed with their wedding. During the ceremony, Sandy sees the same mysterious flower girl right in front of her. The scene cuts back to Brian, falling off the roof while renovating their house. He is immediately taken to the local hospital but ultimately dies. Diana mourns the death of her husband, but while she is by his side at the morgue, the same flower girl shows up and attacks her. Erning, Grace, her mother, Lagring, and Brian's mother Beelin arrive at the morgue, only to find Brian's body to be missing, and in its place is Diana's wedding veil. Back to Sandy and Dale, the reception of their wedding had just concluded, and they were watching their friends leave the venue when they witnessed the van of Sadie's friends Betsy and Edith fall down a ravine. They immediately call the rescuers, but no bodies were found. Instead, they find Sandy's wedding veil inside the van. Joya, the psychic daughter of Dale's cousin, Paola, reveals the same connection that happened at Helen's wedding. The scene transitions to Lagring and Grace chasing after a dazed Diana who was lured into the forest by her husband's ghost. Grace finally catches up to her when they suddenly see the flower girl once again, and at the exact moment, Lagring is rammed by a speeding bus, leaving Diana's bridal cord at the scene. Meanwhile, Sandy and Dale decide to seek help from Joya, and they find out from Dale's mother Gilda that she is headed to Nueva Ecija with her mother, Paola. The couple immediately left for the bus station hoping to catch them, and luckily the bus hadn't left yet. They convince Joya to help her, and as soon as she agrees, they head over to Helen's former home along with Tessie to contact her spirit. While the rest of the group try to distract the caretaker of the house, Joya encounters a stray malevolent spirit who possesses her and warns Sandy that her wedding was cursed. This leaves Sandy shocked and wondering because none of her family members nor Dale's had died recently. Paola suggests that it could be another type of Sukob, the one where siblings say their wedding vows within the same year. Joya reveals the identity of the spirit that possessed her, leading Tessie to discover that her husband, Fred, in the earlier part of their marriage, had an affair and fathered a child out of wedlock whom he abandoned. The group confront Fred about it, and he finally reveals that he did have a lover, Claudia, a year ago, before the child who turns out to be Sandy's half-sibling reached adulthood. Both Sandy and Diana received their respective wedding photos, only to be surprised that the people who had died appeared to be headless in the photos, and those that remained alive are bound to die, including themselves. Diana, who turns out to be Claudia's daughter until her mother's death after the affair, was accompanied by Erning and Grace to seek help from an old hermit to reveal the nature of the curse. He warns Diana, who was revealed to be pregnant, that the spirit will claim her child when her face was partially faded in the photo. Back to Sandy's side of the story, Tessie has had enough of her husband's infidelity and storms out of the house to leave town. Her family tries to stop her, but a car driven by a drunk driver knocks down a construction site, causing her death. As the rest of the family came to her aid, her body was no longer there, but instead found Sandy's cord from the debris. The next day, after driving Joya and Paola back to their house, Sandy and Dale leave for Bibiclet to find her half-sister. The couple settles in a room at a local resort to spend the night. Sandy decides to leave the room for a moment, leaving the key and Dale behind as well. While she was away, the spirit came to claim Dale, who was left trapped inside the room, and before Sandy could save him, he was already gone with only the candle left. On the other hand, the same spirit tries to pursue Diana and Grace, as they are attempting to move out of the barrio and leave town, but the curse consumes Grace, who was taken away by her mother's apparition at the roadside. Sandy and Diana, who are yet to cross paths, are now the only ones left. The half-sisters, still followed by the spirit, both proceed to the police station where they drop by and are lured by the spirit before they later recognize themselves as sisters during their conversation en route. The sisters gather the paraphernalia from Diana's wedding at her house. They immediately proceed to the hermit's hut to burn them at a ritual, but the spirit closely follows them and discovers what they are planning to do, so it vanishes the hermit after the sisters escape with the Airy. The sisters retreat back to town during the annual town Putic festival. They find themselves led to the church where Diana and Brian were wed. The curse traps the sisters at the top of the belfry. Sandy then attempts to crush the Airy, but the spirit prevents her from. Diana reunited with their father, her only living family member left, who had just arrived at the town the next morning. They reconcile after mourning Sandy's death. He is also guilty for his actions that led to the nightmare that befell their family. Diana and Fred leave town and arrive at their home in the city. Unbeknownst to them, the curse still lingers onto Fred as he is haunted by Tessie and Sandy's ghosts who arrive at his house to claim him. Sukob is a great movie that tells the story of superstition culture in the Philippines. Superstitions existed way back pre-colonial period, when most early Filipinos still believed in worshipping different gods, creatures, and spirits. These beliefs are typically introduced to them at a very early age through children's books or bedtime stories. It is believed that, if natives aren't careful to follow them, a curse will befall them. Filipinos are very particular with luck and curses that, even in the modern age, they still let it affect their decisions. As a matter of fact, there are superstitions to be followed upon birth, birthdays, and as seen in the movie, during weddings and even death. However, whether you are a believer of superstitions or not, always remember that you are responsible for your actions and should expect that your misdeeds will result in consequences.